Hello everyone, a very good evening to you all and welcome to All About Physiotherapy. Today we have a big brand name, Dr. Andrew Tran with us. He has taken time for us and as you all know, he is the owner of Physio Memes and today he will be answering some of our questions in the interview. Hello Dr. Andrew, how are you?
Good, man. Good. Everything, surviving everything with COVID 19, everything that's going on right now, staying healthy, and just basically working from home with everything that I'm doing.
So before starting with the questions, I just want to congratulate you for this success of Physio Memes. A big congratulations to you.
Yeah, appreciate that, man. And I know we talked about it, before, like messages and stuff and everything. Like I did not expect, like where starting from memes to like where it's at today of like how I'm able to like impact and help people today. So appreciate that.
Yes, it's a pleasure. And my first question to you is, how did you develop interest in the field of physical therapy?
Yeah, so I really didn't have a major breakthrough of like getting injured or anything before going into a physical therapy school. A lot of people say, they get injured, they had a great experience with the physical therapist and want to, pursue that career because they see the impact on their lives. So for me, like being also like from an Asian family, like our parents are always saying, you gotta be a doctor, you gotta be a doctor, you gotta be a doctor. And I really, that's what I really, all I knew at that point. But when it was my turn to, pick something to do in college, I loved the medical field. I loved helping people, but I knew I didn't want to be a doctor. I was like, I don't want to go into that much schooling, to all the residency and all the stuff afterwards, and then like the hours. And I just don't like a lot of like blood and guts and all that stuff. And so I didn't want to be a nurse either. So like everything that I had interest in, and I loved the musculoskeletal system. I was like very active when I was younger. I wouldn't say I was like really athletic or anything. My cousin, who was a nurse, she was older than me and was already a nurse, and had told me, well, she's like, well, everything that what it sounds like is like physical therapy. Like they deal a lot with the musculoskeletal system, all that. And so I just picked a major when I went in, but knowing that I had to apply to grad school, going to 3 years on top of the 4 years, I realized like, okay, well, I don't want to wait until I'm done the 4 years and apply and not like it. So I started shadowing like physical therapy clinics in different settings since I was like my first year in college and all the way through, and like absolutely like loved it and stayed the career that I picked originally. So
Great. So my next question to you is, with what mission was this brand Physio Meme started?
yeah, so with everything that's going on right now with physio memes and being able to help grow the brand, the profession through multiple ways of like how I'm going about it. Like 4 years ago, maybe a little bit, almost going on 4 years now, when I started the page, when Instagram, a lot of people were just flocking to Instagram, and it was like, where everyone's attention was going, like very similar to what's going on with TikTok right now. And there were a bunch of meme pages and funny pages that were going big and viral and all that stuff. And I we were trying to look up some meme pages for the physiotherapy profession, and there wasn't anything out there. And just my brain just naturally like sees like certain pictures or scenes out of you know TV shows or movies. I'm like, oh, I can turn that to a meme. That'd be funny for like this in physical therapy. So that's kind of where it all started. And not I was honestly just like creating memes for myself and just the way I think I just want to share what was on my mind and reposting a lot of other people's stuff. So it wasn't really like I wasn't really trying to grow the brand, the profession like I am now. But yeah, so that's essentially kind of how it all started about almost in 2016, so about 4 years ago, this recording.
Okay, so tell us something about your daily routine. How is it?
Yeah, so with everything going on with COVID right now, I'm mainly just working from home. So this is like my office that you see right here. So honestly, it's just like a little corner in my bedroom. And I was working PRN and per diem essentially like before all this, just whenever they needed me. It was a new like PT clinic that was in the area that I was just helping out since I moved down here to Florida in the United States. And they, since everything's going on, caseload has dropped, not, people not being seen in the clinic as much. So I'm mainly just working from home with, um, you know, trying to create my own hours. So like for me, I like like I'm a night owl, not a morning person, so I usually start my day a little bit later, and mainly working on different ways to help a lot of of the profession to being help to communicate what we do to the public a lot better, and being able to give that knowledge to other people as well. Just because, at least in the U.S., next year is going to be the 100th year mark of physical therapy, of the APTA being in existence,
Right.
and a lot of people just still don't know what we do. So my mission now is to be able to grow that out so people know what we do.
Okay. So, Dr. Andrew, how does your team Physio Memes help physios around the world to grow their business?
Yeah. So initially, it started off with like I said, with the memes, there was nothing out there, so I started creating stuff. And then about a year later, in 2017, I was trying to buy some physical therapy shirts, and there wasn't anything out there either. So I was like, well, I want a company that just makes PT shirts, and there wasn't anything out there. So as I was creating shirts, kind of same thing happened to me. So one thing led to another. I kept thinking of other ideas, and I still have a bunch of ideas that I haven't even made yet. It's been quite a few years, and basically what I realized was, like, when I was going to the profession, that people just wearing a shirt, you can start off the conversation when people see your shirt. Like, if I have something like, make life humorous, which is like a big thing I say a lot, and I want to promote the profession in a very positive way, in a funny way. So a lot of the memes and a lot of the shirts I create, like, I try not to be negative about the profession, at least, especially like towards patients. But so my big thing is just trying to make life humorous. And so when people, like, if I'm wearing a shirt like that, or this is one, actually the shirt I have on right now is one of Aaron the Bauer shirts for he helps people start like cash PT practices. But basically what it does is it starts conversations, and they're like, oh, you're a physical therapist, by the way, I have this thing on my shoulder. And they're like, they ask you questions and stuff. And I think that's the power of just having shirts, to be able to start conversations with people, to know, like, okay, cool, like, you're a physical therapist. And then being able to educate people that way before they come to the clinic. And if they do have, because every time you tell someone you're physio, oh, this thing, my neck does this noise, my back does this, and you get that all the time. So it's just a great opportunity to be able to tell people what we do. So start off with the shirts, and basically now do a lot of like coaching and consulting of like how we can do it on, essentially, like, now is through our social media channels and everything, to be able to communicate, instead of using all these big PT medical words, trying to sound smart all the time, which is an amazing thing, because a lot of times in school we just learn so much and we forget like where we were when we began, and not knowing a lot of these words. So that's just second nature to us, but understanding that, like, a lot of times the public doesn't understand a lot of the big, evidence-based words that we use, and just kind of keeping things simple.
So, Dr. Andrew, how important is teamwork according to you when it comes to growing a business in physical therapy?
Oh man, it is highly important. I think about a year and a half ago, I was mainly doing it all by myself. I had a little bit of help. I had an intern that's helping out here and there, but I was basically doing everything by myself, trying to help grow this brand profession. And what I realized, like, yeah, I started to realize, like, I have a bigger following, being able to reach more people, but that's still a super, super small. Like, I haven't reached all the physios in the country yet, in the whole world. So being able to realize, like, you can't do it all by yourself. And I told myself, because we all do New Year's resolution and stuff, and I said for 2020, so for 2019, my thing I wanted to focus on that year was delegation. So being able to grow a team, to be able to have people to help me with all the tasks that I have, and was able to, like, now I have a team of interns, about 5 or 6 interns right now. Be able to have like an assistant to be able to help me with a lot of the things, and being able to grow to a team of 50 ambassadors right now. Part of the Physio Memes team, being able to help grow the brand profession. So like last year and a half has been a lot of growth and being a lot of team, and it's been definitely a learning process, because of no one really just, you don't learn in school, like, hey, this is how you manage people and how to work as a team and doing all this stuff, like being the owner of Physio Memes. Like, it's a lot of, like, I'm very grateful for the people I work with, because it's a lot of patience on their end and my end and trying to figure things out. And I know what I want the best for them and not wanting them to feel stressed. And so I put a lot of that on me, but I'm very grateful for the people that I've been able to work with.
Okay. So my next question to you is, how can you think so smartly to make that dad jokes?
That's a great question, man. So some of them, like some of them I've created my own. Some of them, honestly, like I've just heard other people say it, and one point or another. Like I've probably thought of some, like heard of some of these jokes since I was probably like early on in college, 18, 19, 20 years old, and I was just like looking up like funny medical, physical therapy related, anatomy related like jokes and stuff, and I don't know. I think it's just kind of how like my brain just thinks of stuff, like how these thinks of puns and stuff in general. So like I probably think about more stuff that's not related to PT than it is to PT, but every once in a while it's like, oh, I can do that for PT. And then, sometimes you hear words differently and it sounds like something else, so you can create like a pun with it. But yeah, I don't know if I have a process to it. It just kind of sometimes just comes to me, and I try to figure ways to make jokes with it. So
But that's amazing.
appreciate that. It's kind of like, I don't know, like, do you ever like with someone, like when you're talking to people, do you ever have like, I thought
Yes.
this was normal, but like when someone says something and it reminds you of like of a song, like a lyric
Yes.
of a song. I think
Yes.
that's how it works with me with like dad jokes and like memes and stuff.
So that
So that's
observation skills you should have.
what was
You
that?
should you should be having that observation skills.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's I think for me, as you get to know me and like see myself on social media, like when I do like videos, you can see that I jump like all over the place sometimes, and that's like probably one of my biggest weakness. And I think my brain just works too fast for me to talk and to think. So like I have all these neurons that are firing randomly. So I think that's sometimes really bad, but sometimes it helps me think of memes and dad jokes. So
Okay. So Dr. Andrew, what are the changes that you want to see in the field of physical therapy?
yeah, I think. Well, of course, my mission is, you know, because to have essentially the whole world know what the profession does when they hear physiotherapy, of like how we can help them and how we can improve their lives outside of even just physical therapy. I think a lot of times we only think of rehab, but we have so much more to offer before, sometimes coming into rehab and even afterwards, right? A lot of times, like when we get, I don't know, maybe it's because of in the United States, we're limited with insurance. Insurance cuts you off at this point, but we can technically help them from, from here on before like they get back to sport. And I think like we need to step in and be able to help a lot of those areas that instead of just limiting ourselves, at least in the US, to what insurance allows, and to be able to help the public even more. So like my big thing is wanting like from at least, so I want that for like the profession, but like within like I guess the people that are in it, I would love to see us be able to communicate a little bit better, or like continually improving. I mean, 'cause we can always like improve on these things, but without using so many big words, especially like talking to each other, that's 100% fine. But I think going to the public, we're like, oh yeah, so yeah, what's going on here is your glenohumeral joint is doing this, and we have to like do these glides, and with your
Yes.
back, it's all these like big words, and it's just like, so I'm gonna help you get your shoulder up here so you can go back and playing tennis. So it's just like little things like that, and I think sometimes we just try to just sound smart, and I think just like to practice a lot more of just communicating to our patients better. So because if we do that, we can help them avoid unnecessary surgeries, avoiding like having too many injections, or especially in the US here, we have a big issue with opioid epidemic and a lot of overdoses with that. So it's if we're able to do that, we can help like the world out so much better that way. So, and I think a big part of it is being able to communicate to like what we do.
Right. So Dr. Andrew, can you give all the physiotherapists around the world some tips so that they can earn wisely and smartly?
You say earn wisely and smartly. What do you mean by that? I think we can go different directions with that.
The thing is, what physios think that how much can I earn monthly? How, but if they work smartly, how can they earn good? So, like
Yeah.
if, for example, you are doing some Instagram from where you have grown, you do clinics. So, what all things they can do so that they can also earn good?
Yeah. Like honestly, because I know this is a very real issue that, you know, every country, like the dollar or like the currency is not the same, right? But I really do believe that I don't care where you are in the world, that you can make as much money as you want, especially as a physio. And I think we only limit what we can believe. If we believe, oh, I am in China or I'm in India or I'm in whatever country, we only know to make this much. But then I'm also asking you, do you want to be normal? Do you want to be average? If so, that's okay. But if you are looking to make more money so you can provide for your friends and your family, to live whatever lifestyle that you want, to be able to, well, whenever we're allowed to travel, like travel whenever you want, I think that first and foremost is like believing that it's possible, right? So even in the US, we typically make the most, probably one of the top countries that make the most as physios. But even us in this country, we like have certain like a fixed mindset. Like we can't, well, this is the average, and we're all trying like, oh, let's try to move that average up. I'm not looking to be average myself, right? So, and I understand that our lifestyle, and like we have a lot more student debt and everything with that. But one is, first of all, just believing in it. And you say, well, I can never make that. If you tell yourself you can't make that, then of course you can't make. You will never make that. That is very powerful, and I didn't really realize that over until the last few years. But two, what you need to have skills. So you as a physio compared to everyone else, if you guys all do the same thing, you can't really set yourself apart. Okay, cool, you have this certification here, you have this manual certification. I know these exercises, I can do these techniques. You maybe can get a little bit more, few dollars, right? But if you want to make like a lot more, you need to learn skills that the normal physical therapist doesn't have, right? So for me, like I'm able to help people get more patients into their clinic. I'm able to help them like help their audience and their communities understand what they do better. So if I can help you make, extra, 10,000, 15,000, $30,000 a year, if you pay me a few $1,000s, is that gonna be worth it? Yeah. If I give you a dollar, if you give me a dollar, I give you back 30. Is that worth it? Right? So, or $10, even a dollar for $1.50. If you give me a dollar, I give you back $1.50. You'll be happy, right? So, so that's what ways of thinking about it. And if I can help people in other ways, so like as a physical therapist, we can like again, we're the technician. We learn how to do the actual thing, whether it's the plan of care and all that stuff. So from an average standpoint, if I know how to like market, can communicate to your audience well, help you learn that skill, help you learn how to sell and close down on patients and get more people in there. That's the skill that most physical therapists in the world don't really have. Because we're so used to, and I know like even in the US, we're so used to the physician handing us patients, right? Or referral source. But so that's the thing. Like we don't know how to market directly to the patient, And I think that's no matter where you're at, like even if you legally need to go to a physician to get a referral before coming here, you can still market to them. It's like, okay, cool, once you come here, but before you come see me, I'll send you to the physician first. And if you can do it that way, you're the one that is like the one in control, essentially, the one that is the authority figure, not the physician. Well, it's like they told me to come to you. So imagine if you refer to the physician, right? Like that's a skill that most people don't have. So I think it's learning the skills that we just don't learn in school, that we don't learn as a physio. But like, let's say like, so like marketing and sales are two big things that, and I think we get like, at least in the US, we get very, it's a negative connotation of like what marketing and sales is. It's like slimy, it's bad. But if you're marketing, all it is just telling people really what you do, right? And if you can tell people what you do and you sell them something on something's positive, because if you think about it, the pharmaceutical companies are selling people all day, every day on and marketing all day, every day on taking opioids, right? So they're doing marketing sales. But if you're marketing, you're selling something that's great, it shouldn't matter what, you shouldn't feel bad about that. So I think, but let's say if you're talking to a bunch of marketers, right, and you know how to market, well then from that standpoint, those marketers who know the marketer, you get maybe a little bit better skill here. So from then, that's the normal, right? So that's not a different skill. So like, but as a physical therapist, as healthcare providers, we just don't know how to do that. So developing those skills that can essentially not cap you, because if you're so much more valuable with that and 99% of your colleagues don't know how to do that, you can charge whatever you want.
Right. So, Dr. Andrew, behind this,
So that's my tip of learning.
yeah, very true. I completely agree with that. So, behind this success of yours, who has always been your inspiration and why?
Sorry, you broke up for a little bit there. What was that? The last part?
Behind this success of yours, who has been your inspiration and why?
Oh man.
This is a personal question to you.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. I actually haven't had this asked in a while, and I think so more of from a personal level, or from like who has helped me get to this point, or
Whatever you like to say.
whichever. So honestly, it's part of my family, with being able to like I have tremendous support from especially my mom, and being able to do what I'm doing now, because like even though like I have like a bigger account and be able to help a lot more people, like I'm still not like where I want to be able to like fully support them. And a lot of it is a lot of ups and downs and everything, but definitely my mom was probably one of the biggest like, inspiration in my family, to be able to you know have enough to, from what like how much support and everything they've given me over the years. Because when I first started the business, and I'm still like where it's at now, like I got a doctorate degree, I was making good money, and then kind of took a dip. I was like, well, I'm trying to do this thing now. So I had to take a big cost with that. And as being a doctor with that, like my friend was like, what's going on? Like you were doing all this stuff. So why are you doing this now? Like, why are you like going back and doing this? And I get a lot of times they just don't really understand that. So up until probably like a few months ago, when I was talking to my mom, she finally was like, okay, like, can you like, at first she was like, why are you doing this? Kind of getting mad at it. And then now she's like, you know what? Like, can you tell me what you're doing? So I want to learn more about it. So it was like from a different perspective. And I think she's like, oh, you're doing shirts. So you're doing stuff on Instagram. Like, but you're a doctor. Like, why are you doing that? But like, she doesn't understand like that. So I think that's like a big thing with inspiration of, like, let me show you. Like, so I have to like still working to this out, like to show her like what I'm trying to do, maybe to give back to a point where like, like, so she, because being associated with immigrant parent, being Asian parent, like just that, like she just likes to work all the time. So that's like a big thing that I definitely want to
Okay.
definitely continue to give them the lifestyle that they left a whole country not making shit to come over here, not speaking the language, and doing that. So that's been a very big pushing towards that.
That's good. So, Dr. Andrew, my last question to you is an advice that you can give all the physiotherapists around the world to gain success as you have got.
It's always funny with this question. I feel like it just depends on the type of mood I'm in that day, because I feel like almost every time I get asked this question, it's always a different answer. But honestly, to have the success in like the life and the lifestyle, like my biggest thing is honestly just making sure that you're happy with what you're doing. And I think a lot of times we get a lot of pressure with, like, even like I just said, like, even from my family. But I think a part of me, I've always been like a really rebellious one. So like my mom and dad say something like, you know what, screw that. Like I'm going to do something different. So I think that's just naturally been me. So it's been easier. I know a lot of people like are opposite of that and like, oh, I don't want to offend anybody, especially my family. But for me, I'm like, because at first they didn't want me to go to PT school. They wanted me to become a physician. They wanted me to go to med school. And I was like, no, but now they see that, okay, cool. Like after the fact, they approve of that. So my big thing is making sure that that you're happy. Because at the end of the day, But right now they don't understand. My dad's like, what the hell are you doing? My mom was like, she kind of is like, I don't really know what you're doing, but like, let me learn more about it. But so after the fact, then if I can go back and show her, she's like, okay, cool, I didn't understand. So I think a lot of times, like, just from that perspective, so whether it's your friends, even your other physios, your colleagues, to be like successful and like, happy and everything, like make sure that you're happy with whatever you want to do, and especially if it's something so different, that's totally okay. Because who would have thought that me making memes and T-shirts has been able to grow to being able to help other physios and business owners and being able to coach and consult with other people to learn how to do this for their businesses. So like I would say, like, even if something totally different and off, like that's totally okay. Like go ahead and try it. Like I think that's the biggest thing that has helped me is just like knowing that like doesn't work, it doesn't work. That's totally okay. So I think it's doing what makes you happy, and if it's something that's totally different, that's totally okay.
So one last question that came into my mind, that what are your views about the upcoming techniques that physios use, like dry needling, cupping, taping? What are your views about that?
Yeah. So for me, I think a lot of times, especially with social media, you see a lot of it as always do this or never do this. And we're so like polarized on the end. And a lot of it is, in the middle. Like, the thing we hear a lot of times is it depends. So and then we can argue the research and all that stuff with it, right? But if you can help them, because using a lot of manual techniques, I believe like whatever you do, if you can help them, if they're in pain, help them decrease the pain, then get it moving. My biggest thing is try to get it moving, when, despite all like precautions and, contraindications and all that stuff, like get it moving as safely and quickly, as possible. So, and I think a lot of times, like whether it's a manual technique, whether it's like, mobilization, manipulation, whether it's dry needling, whether it's cupping, whether it's, soft tissue massage, whether it's whatever it is, if you can get their pain to go from a 10 to a 5, I don't really care how you do it. Okay. And a lot of times you go, well, that's not evidence based. Well, if you're a 10 out of 10 pain and I can get you down to a 4 or 5 out of 10 pain, are you going to be happy no matter what I do? And then be able to get you moving a little bit, because once you get you moving, that's when the magic happens. So I think sometimes we get caught too heavy in the evidence, like, oh, it doesn't work, it's not evidence based. You can tell them like, I don't want you to rely on this stuff. This is going to help you temporarily, but we're going to help you get moving a little bit better. Is that okay? And I'm like, yeah. But I think a lot of times it's like imagine if someone like shot you and it's like, hey, and you're like, I'm dying, I'm like feeling it. It's like, okay, cool. Like I'm gonna give you something so you don't feel the pain. You're gonna tell me you're gonna say no to that? So I think a lot of times we get to this ego war of like on social media, from what I see, and it's just like, no, you should definitely do this. Oh, you should definitely do this. And it's like, it depends. Like if you can get the pain to calm down, then get them moving again. That's the whole point of it. And like, so that's
Okay,
my view on that.
that's great. Okay, sir, we come to an end of this interview. Thanks a lot for taking time for us, and I hope this will help many physios around the world. And you sharing your knowledge is like very big thing for us. Thanks a lot.
Appreciate it, man. Thank you for having me on, man. Super
It's
excited
a
for this.
it's a pleasure. So, Andrew sir, do you have some time after this, or you have some work?
I have a little bit of time. What's up?
I was about to tell you, can we go live for some time from our pages?
Yeah, you want to do it now, or you want to do it another time, or?
Actually, I just wanted to tell you that tomorrow is my birthday, 20th
Oh,
of May. Yeah,
oh, happy
but
birthday!
there are many plannings going on. But I said that if Dr. Andrew is there, I'll leave all of that and I'll come with, I will take his interview.
Oh
So
man, yeah,
all my friends and family, they are planning for my birthday because within maybe 4 hours it will be 12 a.m. and it will be next day. So if you come live and just interaction for maybe not more than 10 to 15 minutes.
yeah. No, we can definitely do that. You want to do it right now?
Yes,
Yeah, we can do it right now, man. Yeah, and happy birthday. How old are you turning?
I'll start my live, and then when you come live on All About Physiotherapy, you'll have to send a request there. That's
Okay,
it.
I can do that. I can do that.
Okay, sir. Thanks a lot. I'll be starting the live soon within 2 minutes.
Okay, cool. All right, perfect. I'll
Okay.
grab my phone and I'll jump on, man. Appreciate it.
Done. Bye bye. Take care. Have a good
All right, see you in a minute.